Greetings, paper demons. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to protect your work online from AI using a free tool called Glaze. I'm also going to show you two different techniques that you can use to preserve the transparency of your glazed PNGs. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Bogus Red, and I'm the creator of the PaperDemon Art role-playing game. As artists, we now have to take extra steps to prevent generative AI companies from using our work without our consent. And we're going to do that using a free tool called Glaze. Glaze is a free tool developed by the University of Chicago that you can use to protect your work online. It does this by adding small artifacts to your artwork that is hard for humans to see, but is disruptive enough to confuse generative AI. Glaze specifically helps prevent these models from learning to train and mimic your art style. Please note that Glaze and the tools that we're using today are only going to work on Windows and Mac. To get started, we're going to need to download Glaze. You'll find a link to Glaze in the description below. Once you visit the website, go to the downloads page and download Glaze. So down at the bottom, you're going to download it and install it. Once you have the software installed, this is what it looks like when you open it up. This is what my original artwork looks like before I run Glaze. You'll see that it has some transparency in it. If we zoom in, you can see that there's some pinks here. And if I put a black background behind it, you can see more clearly what the transparency looks like. Let's go ahead and put this in Glaze and see what happens. In order to get Glaze going, it's pretty easy to do. You just click select and you choose the image that you want to glaze. You can choose between 3 intensity settings and 4 render quality settings. I usually just leave it on the default, but you may find that it changes your artwork too much and you can change it to low if you want. Then you choose where you want the file to go. Then you go ahead and click Run Glaze. As it's going, it's going to maybe take about 3 minutes for it to run the glaze. But I have one glazed already so that we can go right into this. Okay, so unfortunately, when you run Glaze on an image that has transparency in it, it mats it against a white background. So all of the transparency gets lost, and this is what it ended up looking like. So if we go back and compare to what we had before, you can see it's quite different. And even if I put it on a white background, just so you can see the difference more clearly, this is what it would look like if I had manually put it on a white background versus what it looks like here when it's glazed. It doesn't look very good at all. Part of the reason that this doesn't look good is because the entire alpha channel of the image has been removed. So we can easily fix this by applying that alpha channel layer back on. Now, the easy way to do this is to take your original image that hasn't been glazed, select all and copy, go back to your file with the glazed image and paste the original on top. Then we're going to load in the transparency of the original image. And we're going to do that in Clip Studio Paint, you could do that by holding down the Control key and then clicking on that layer. So now you can see the little ants around my image where it's showing what the transparency is. Now we're going to hide that layer that has the original art, then select the layer with Glaze and click on the Layer Mask tool. Now when we do this, we have the transparency restored to our image. This method is great and straightforward, but if you have a lot of images, maybe you have hundreds of game assets that you want to glaze, it takes too long to do this. So I'm going to show you a way that can have this done in seconds. To preserve the transparency in our images, we're going to need the help of a free tool called Imagemagick. And what this tool is going to do is it's going to take your original image before you glaze it and separate it out into different channels. It'll keep a separate image that has the channel of the transparency. Once we're done glazing on a flattened image, we then apply the transparency back on top. Let me show you what I mean. After you go to the Imagemagick website, and there's a link to that in the description below, you're going to go to the download page. If you're on Mac, you're going to click on Mac. I'm on Windows, so we're going to click on Windows and it's going to scroll us down here, and there's a link right here where you can download it. One more thing before we move forward, we're going to be using some command lines, and I know for artists that's really scary, but I promise I'm going to make this as simple as possible and show you step by step and give you commands you can copy paste. But unfortunately, you're going to have to run a few commands. All right, let's go. In the description below, I have a link to a spreadsheet that's going to help generate all the commands for you. All you have to do is copy this spreadsheet, and on the File Names tab, you are going to specify all of your file names here without the extension. We're going to be processing a lot of images all at once, so we're going to need to keep things a little organized. You're going to need to create a folder on your computer with these 5 subfolders, and the names have to be exactly this so that it matches up with the commands that I provided in the spreadsheet. The first folder is O1-originals. The second is O2-flat. The third is O3-alpha. The fourth is O4-glaze. Then O5-final. Go ahead and open up the originals folder and put in here all the files that you want to process at once. Okay, I'm going to copy over a bunch of files here. Boop. Now that we've got all of our source images in the originals directory, we need to get a list of all the file names. Before we can begin to use Imagemagick, we're first going to need to open up the command prompt, which is where we're going to run the commands for Imagemagick and also generate a list of the file names. So to open up the command prompt on Windows, we're going to click on the Windows icon in the bottom taskbar, and then we're going to search for CMD. So the first option here should be command prompt. You can hit enter or click on it. Now we need to relocate to the directory where we have our files. So I'm going to type CD, which means change directory, C, uppercase C, colon, backslash for the C drive, Glaze tutorial. So if I type, then you hit enter. If I type dir here, it'll show me a list of all the directories that are subdirectories that are in this folder. You can see here the ones that we created earlier. And now I'm going to move into the directory for the originals. So CD space O1 originals. And I'm going to type dir space /B. Enter. And now it's going to list all of our file names here. And we're going to need this in order to build our script. So go ahead and select that, and you're going to copy by right-clicking on it. And then we're going to paste them into the spreadsheet. We do have to remove the extension here. So we're going to do, select these, and then let's see, edit, search, find and replace. Specific range, and we're going to find PNG and replace it with nothing. So replace all. There we go. Done. So now we have all the file names here for the images that are in that directory. Now it's time to run our first command for Imagemagick. We're going to go over to the commands tab of the spreadsheet, and the first command is here. You're going to copy it. Now we're going to go back to our command line, and we have to go back one directory. So we're going to type CD space ... And now we're in that tutorial directory. We're going to right click, which will paste the command, and we'll hit enter. Let's take a look at what it created. Now this command should take just a couple seconds to run. Let's take a look at our directory here. This is the tutorials directory here. And now if we look in the second folder, we have all of the images with the alpha channel removed. So they're no longer transparent. Any part of the image that was partially transparent is now fully opaque. And if we go into the third directory, we now have a bunch of images here that just contain the alpha information. Now it's time to run Glaze. In Glaze, you're going to go ahead and click the select button and navigate to the second folder and select all the images that you want to run Glaze on. Choose what settings you want for Glaze here, and then choose the output directory, and you're going to put everything in that fourth folder called Glaze. Select folder, and you're going to run it. It's going to take approximately 3 minutes per image, so go grab a cup of coffee and come back later. All right, Glaze is finally done. Let's take a look at what Glaze did. If we go into our Glaze folder, we should now have the glazed images. The artifacts are generally hard to see, but they are there. Here's another one. I had it on the default setting, so sometimes it's very obvious to see and sometimes it isn't. So it just depends on the image. This image has larger areas of solid color, and I think it's a little bit more obvious to see the little artifacts here. And again, there's no transparency in these images yet. It's now time to merge together that alpha channel and apply it back onto the glazed image. Back to the spreadsheet here, you're going to need to define what glaze intensity you used for each of these files. So go ahead and specify that. Okay. And now we're going to go back to that commands tab and we're going to copy the second command here. Then we open back up our command prompt. We're going to paste the command, hit enter, and it's going to reapply the alpha channel within seconds. Going back to our tutorials folder, if we open up Final, we now have transparent glazed images. Look at that. How awesome. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you need any help with it, feel free to ask in the comments below or hop into my Discord server. If you like to draw original characters and are looking for some inspiration to help you draw and get motivated to create, check out the PaperDemon Art role-playing game. Battle monsters, complete quests, and make new friends as you draw your way through the Paperverse. A link is in the description below, or you can visit PaperDemon.com to join our art community today.